You've landed inside the bubble with Harli G, a podcast for the superwoman. I am a mother, wife, and ambitious career woman who realized one day that part of me was unfulfilled. I launched this platform to help other women discover and walk in their ultimate purpose through shared stories of trials, fear, dreams, courage, grief, and triumph. No matter who you are or where you're from, there's purpose in your story. This episode is brought to you by Farmers Insurance. When was the last time you reviewed your insurance policy? So it's been a while, huh? Well, no worries. My friends at the Austin Brummett Agency would love to hear from you and provide you with some amazing rates. Give them a call at 678-402-8262 or email them at abrummett@farmersagent.com. Insiders, Inside the Bubble with Harli G is now sponsored by BetterHelp. As a partner of this episode, listeners can access the BetterHelp link located in the show notes to receive 10% off your first month of therapy with BetterHelp and get matched with a therapist who will listen and help. Go to BetterHelp, that is betterhelp.com/inside-the-bubble, the link to get started. Thinking about buying a car but dreading the process? Enter Car Official, where we're changing the game. At Car Official, we believe car buying should be transparent, informative, and yes, even enjoyable. Our experts are here to guide you, provide you clear information and honest advice. No jargon, no pressure, just a helping hand every step of the way. Whether it's understanding financing options, getting clarity on fees, or simply finding the perfect car for your needs, we've got you covered. Join the Car Official family and experience a new era of car buying, where trust, knowledge, and customer care drive everything we do. Car Official Auto Sales, empowering your journey one car at a time. Visit us today and see the difference for yourself at 770-627-4296 or on our website at www.carofficial.net. Welcome. I am Harli G, host of Inside the Bubble with Harli G, a podcast for the superwoman. Thank you for tuning in. The purpose in the Entrepreneurship series is to inspire women who have a burning desire to do their own thing but don't know where to start. Women who are fully committed to their 9-to-5 but can't seem to find time to pursue their purpose outside of work. Women who struggle with trying to balance life's demands, spouse, partner, children, extended family, friends, community involvement, while running a business and are experiencing the feeling of guilt because of not committing an equal amount of time to all of it. Okay? So today I have Parul Benders and Ebony Dukes joining me to share how they are defining their purpose in their chosen line of business. So welcome, ladies. Thank you so much for coming on the pod.
Thank you for having me.
Yay! All right. Well, I'm looking forward to having an honest, transparent, and I know who I'm talking to. I know you ladies will be as honest and as transparent as you can be, but really having a conversation around purpose in your entrepreneur journey and where you are on that journey. Because while we are all entrepreneurs here, but we're at different points of our journey. And sometimes our path gets to cross each other. Sometimes it's utilizing each other as resources. Sometimes it's really uplifting and inspiring each other while we're in the thick of it, right? So first I'd like to ask the both of you to share the name of your business, what you offer, and who you serve.
My name is Parul Benders. My company is Parul's Desserts. And it sounds kind of self-explanatory, make desserts, but it's not just I like to provide an experience with the dessert. So if you're having an event or you have a branding event or you have a specific customer that you're trying to get in contact with or you just want to make yourself feel good, I create custom desserts, all the themed desserts, all the fun fondant that people don't like to work with, buttercream desserts, cake pops, cupcakes, dipped treats, Rice Krispies, Oreos, all of the good stuff. Anything that you could possibly imagine in a treat. And the people that I serve are, like I said, anyone that just wants to make themselves feel happy. But at the same time, I'm currently pivoting so that I'm working more with corporations to do edible branding and marketing. So you're able to use our items and anything that I could make your logo edible. They can eat your brand.
Oh.
And you can send it out to customers. You can do employee appreciation gifts, things of that nature. Or if you're a real estate agent and you're having an open house, you can have specifically branded treats that cater to that environment. So,
Ebony?
Yeah, so I'm Ebony Dukes. Thanks again for having me on. I am owner of Glam Staffing. And basically, I serve small business owners who are ready to scale up and hire employees. That's my direct client, so to speak. And indirectly, when they ask me to help them with their recruiting and staffing services, I tend to work with a lot of women of color who come through the pipeline of recruiting. So indirectly, it's more so helping them with interview coaching and especially salary negotiations, because I've learned that for some reason women of color have a difficult time with negotiating their worth, so to speak. They take whatever they take. So that's the indirect customer. Directly, I support small business owners who are ready to grow and scale their businesses so that they can focus on more of the strategy and less of the operations in their business.
I want to put a pin in what you just said about why do we have such a hard time communicating and demanding what we are worth? Why? You are any other businesses, any other corporation, they don't have a hard time saying this is what we're worth. So why is it so hard for us as women of color and entrepreneurs to do that?
for a very long time, as we know, women weren't even allowed in the workforce, right? So there was not necessarily the opportunity to develop that skill set for us to even value our worth. We were told what our worth was. We were told we were supposed to be in the house. So we were told we weren't supposed to work. You're supposed to take care of these children, take care of all this other stuff, period. So we didn't know to be an advocate for ourselves, to say this is what it is that we deserved. And then when we finally did have the opportunity to get into the workforce, we get placed into an environment that's already been created before we even existed in it.
And not for us.
Right. So we walk in here, and once again, we have a group of people that are saying, this is your value, this is what you're going to be paid. Because for a long time, you weren't even allowed to be here, so you don't deserve to get as much as me. I've been working in this field, and everyone behind me has been working in this field for all of these generations, and you're just not coming in. What makes you think that you're going to get more? Or, here's where you are. So then as we started to have a level of self-realization for ourselves over the year and say, okay, well, we need to be our own advocates, we started pushing. But while we're pushing and we're trying to get into these spaces, we still haven't fixed the fact that we don't know how to do these things in these spaces. We don't know how to ask for this stuff. I want to be here. I'm here, and I want to be here and do what it is that you're doing and everything else. But I don't know what I'm supposed to ask while I'm here. I don't know. It sounds good. And we're doing it, but what now? So I think we're just now in the development phases of having people in those industries that are able to coach us and be like, for example, you feel comfortable in saying, this is how much I want to make. Feel comfortable in saying, no, I'm worth more than you're trying to just throw at me. I'm justifying my value, not you.
Yes.
So,
and I'm going to dig a little deeper into what you said, because everything you said was spot on. In my experience of going through this process of hiring and selecting candidates, part of my screening, one of my questions is, what is your salary requirements? Like, I try to leave it open for them, right? And they'll say, oh, whatever. And that's when I'm like, let me take my recruiter hat off and let me coach you a little bit.
Right.
Here's the resources you can go to look up what the salary is in this particular demographic area, so you can get an understanding, a baseline of where to even start asking. And I'm like, ask above that and negotiate down, like just little tips. Because to your point, they just don't know. They just accept whatever they want to accept. I literally just went through this with my own daughter, who recently accepted a job offer here as an architect. And she was like, oh, I think I'm going to, like, she was like, oh, I'll just take, let's just say $50,000, and we pulled it up where the job was, and we're like, yeah. And in addition to that, when she was speaking to the recruiter's like, no, you need to ask for more. So I was like, kudos to this recruiter, because
Right.
that is not something
Common.
Like, they
Yes.
just typically don't offer that type of information to candidates. So I just see it in different aspects with my own daughter, and even when I'm interviewing candidates for jobs. So they truly don't know. So I try to point them to those right
I
resources.
didn't know for a while. I didn't know for a very long time. I was just like, okay, well, I got the job. I'm happy that I'm here.
Yes.
I had it in my head, I'm in here and I can work my way up. Not knowing that I could go in here and be like, nah, I need this money right here because I need to sustain my lifestyle and my bills and everything else.
But is that a mentality? And Parul, correct me if I'm wrong. And just because we have some similar backgrounds in some instances, so I find when I dig into it, when I think about it, I find that that is the narrative that was fed to me by my parents. Okay, my parents are first generation immigrant, so they're programmed to think, I come in here, I come to this country, I keep my head down, I don't question authority. And in some situation, a manager, a recruiter is an authority figure, right? And I work hard to pull myself up at bootstrap. And so that's the mentality that I was within my culture that is very common. It's the norm, right? And so when an employer offers me a position and they say, Harley, this is what we're going to pay you, I have not had the courage to say, no, that's not what I'm worth. This is, I haven't had the courage because I wasn't taught that. I was taught that actually doing that was disrespect.
Yes.
Right? So I didn't do it. And in not doing so, doing a disservice to myself.
Absolutely.
Right? So thinking about that, right? The challenges of entrepreneurship is being able to go into that room and say, sorry, this is what I'm worth. This is what you're going to be paying. Because according to my time, my blood, sweat, and tears, what I've put into this is what this service or this product is worth. If you find that to be a challenge for you,
Initially, I did. Oh, absolutely. Initially, oh my God. I remember when I first started, it was like whatever they wanted to pay me, I was just happy.
we're
I was
gonna
just
take
happy
it.
to have a client. But that taught me so many different things. One, I was burnt out. I was exhausted just trying to serve everybody and not really understanding the worth of what I was bringing, the value that I was adding to that particular client. And then secondly, there was an instance where I did so much trying to prove or create this partnership. I didn't get paid, and I was livid. I'm like, what? I did all this work, and I wasn't paid. Like, yeah. So over time, I've learned, like, hey, this is a value. This is what I bring. Either you take it or you leave it. If we're not supposed to work together, that's
Then
fine.
we won't.
It's okay. Like,
Yes.
everybody's not your client, right? Like,
Right.
you just have to find the right client. Everybody's not your client.
Say it a little bit louder for people in the back. Everybody's not your client.
And that's with a service-based business, like with a product-based business. For me, I felt like I wasn't in the game long enough to be able to price my cakes or my desserts the same as somebody else that's been there for a couple of years, regardless of whether or not it looked exactly like that cake. And truth be told, I probably should have charged even more than that person because I wasn't that experienced and it did take me more time. Like, so now, like if somebody were to ask me a couple of years ago to knock out some cake pops, that's like a 2-day process for me. I can do that thing in like 2 hours now. I still charge.
With a broken oven.
Wait, listen, let me tell you.
Happened this week.
This week,
It
I
really did.
had an order, and at the last second, I noticed there was an issue, and I figured out what the issue was, and I actually fixed it myself, so I'm good. But I had an order, and it was due the next day, and I'm like, okay, what am I gonna do? Something's going on. I already had this batter mix, and I had everything. I'm like, Harley, I'm on my way. I gotta go to your house. So I go to her house, and this is not when I stole the food either.
Right.
This is a completely
Okay,
different
got
situation.
it.
So I had to go over there and do that, but it took time. And thankfully, because I have the skill set to be able to turn things around really quickly, I was able to be like, okay, bring this, and this, coming in this time, go ahead and manage the time doing it, get back home, do everything else that needs to be done, save the day. And it was like 2 cakes that I had to do. Everything got completed. But but I wouldn't have known to charge for my time and my products like that. Like I remember there's a cake that I did when I first started out, and the lady was like, "I'll give you $50 for it." And I'm like, "Okay, that's a $300 cake today." I definitely struggled with developing what my worth was at the time, based off of what I felt, or because kind of like I had to earn my way, or I'm going to go ahead and get this business, and then after a while, maybe the next time you'll pay me more for a cake. But no, you had to stop that very quickly.
So speaking of which, when was the time you felt like, both of you, you felt like you had to pivot on a dime, right? I feel like in entrepreneurship, that's like an everyday thing, right? You're just kind of like every day, it's like, how am I going to shift? How am I going to pivot? So when was that?
COVID.
Yes.
COVID absolutely did it, because everyone had these big events, and I literally just started getting really big orders. Like, okay, I get to do these weddings, I get to do these huge spreads, like $500, $1,000 spreads, all this other stuff. COVID, the world shut down. What am I going to do? This is my full-time job. All I'm doing right now is just baking. I'm not doing anything else but that. I'm poor now. How am I going to fix this? All right, so let's go ahead and look at the guidelines of what's going on with the CDC. All right, you're allowed to be around for this amount of time, social distancing, all this other stuff. So, happy boxes. You still want something at your door. You still want some sort of dessert. You can't go anywhere and you want to celebrate somebody's birthday. Go ahead and get them a personalized treat. Drop it off on their porch, because I'm not delivering it everywhere. And that people started buying those individual treats. And then when they started allowing small gatherings, okay, start doing micro parties, micro boxes for people, so that and I marketed those for a little while. And I just kept doing that to the point where people started actually establishing that they could be around people again. And they remembered me for being innovative for that. They're like, okay, well, this was the one that didn't want me to feel like I was alone. This was the person that came up with this concept for me to give something to my daughter, even though she's in this house by herself. So it increased my business. And to this day, a lot of these people sometimes order 2-3 times a month from me, because I was able to come up with that concept to not make them feel like they were alone.
Wow, I love it. Happy boxes. Yes. Okay.
Yes.
Ebony?
Similar. COVID was definitely that thing that tested everybody, right?
COVID was the entrepreneurship revolution. That's what it was.
Oh my God.
I'm calling it.
Absolutely.
It really was. And what was interesting about my journey is that I started off doing career coaching. Like, that's what I was doing before, like life coaching, career coaching type stuff. So during COVID, things were slowing down. I'm like, I don't know what I'm about to do. This is about to get interesting. So then I got a call out of the blue from a friend of mine. He has like dental offices in DC, and he called like in the middle of COVID. Hey, I need to hire people, and I'm thinking, who is hiring
right now?
COVID, like what?
Right.
But I took the job. I didn't have an applicant tracking. I didn't have anything set up. But the minute I took the job, I like got online and I found, I just figured it out. I found all these resources that I could utilize just to get started, and that kind of created the start of it. That's kind of, I pivoted away from career coaching, because honestly it was draining me doing one-on-one sessions and so forth. So when I got into that space, I was like, okay, I like this.
Yes.
The check's a little bigger. Like we're good. we can do this. So I just figured it out. Like I pivoted and figured out all the things I needed to at least get started. It's just been a evolution since.
Right. And so perfect segue. It was like a setup. How do you feel like, you both kind of started right before the pandemic and had to shift?
A couple years.
Couple of years before, you started during the pandemic. So now 3 years later or so, how do you feel like your purpose has evolved in your entrepreneur journey?
That is a good question.
When I was starting my entrepreneurship journey, it was a lot of having to learn myself. So I had to teach myself a lot of stuff. I mean, I didn't formally go to school. I went on YouTube if I wanted to learn something. But then I started realizing, okay, well, there are certain people that I can talk to, and I started trying to find other cake counterparts and develop that community and whatnot. So it was really a lot about my development beforehand. Like, how do I develop Parul and Parul's desserts to be able to offer these services to people? Right now, I've pivoted to how can I help you people? How can I help everybody else? How can I help other small businesses that are trying to get into this cake space or even catering space, because it's all kind of the same thing. So I started mentoring other small businesses. I had like a little pilot grouping, and there was a set of twins, and their mom invited me over she hired me to do a decorating class for one of their birthday parties, and it turned out into like a whole cupcake wars thing. It was really cool. So she was like, well, I would love to be able to have my daughters take classes by you. And I was like, well, do they want to start a business? I'll mentor them. So I came up with this entire thing that she paid for, the whole concept, where it comes up with, here are the classes that you need for the basic information as to how basic desserts, basic cakes. These are the things you need to do to be able to start it out. Here's your pricing structure. Here's how you should market. Here, like, I had a whole class, a master class for anybody that wanted to start a caking business from scratch. They're doing an amazing job right now. I'm so proud of them. They're so cute. They've been on a few TV shows actually. Yeah, and I'm like, and that was when I stepped outside of myself, because I felt like me trying to, and not trying to say I'm not important, right? I'm definitely very important, but I realized that my happiness and my purpose in being in this space is to be able to assist other people. So there are other small businesses that I've been able to help. Like, okay, well, do you need some mentorship? How is it that I can service you? What can I do to help you develop what it is that you want? And also, let's see whether or not this is really what you want to do, because there's a lot of work that goes into it. And if you have a portion of that passion that you're putting into it, well, let's see what pieces of it we can take to find out what you really want to do, if you're just doing this just to have something. So.
And purpose is never about you.
No.
So it's about, the gift that God put in you, put you here for, to help others, to serve others, right? So it's never about, you find that while you are benefiting so much from doing it, but the bigger benefit is how that gift is impacting other people, right? So what about you, Ebony? How have you been able to, Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, the evolution has been interesting for me because like I mentioned.
And I feel like based on past conversations, you're still, well, we're always evolving, right?
Yes.
But you're actually kind of feel like you're at a crossroad right now, and you evolving into something that you are fighting. So that's my question. My question is, why are you fighting it?
Why are you fighting it, man?
Not about to make me cry. I don't know if I'm fighting it. I think I'm still going through the process. Like I mentioned to you all the time, I'm like, every time I talk to you, you're trying to pull some stuff out of me. Like, I think I'm getting to the point where I'm now embracing it more and more, because I see it in my everyday, right? Like, I see it, and I'm like, I get a fire. I can't describe it. Like, I get this fire in me with certain things. Just like I gotta do it. I gotta move forward. So the evolution to what you're speaking of is absolutely serving more, especially women of color. That is just like my thing. Maybe that's why in the middle of these conversations, I'm like, hey, have you thought about this? Have you thought about like I just naturally do it. Even going back to when you were mentioning y'all's experiences growing up and not asking for things, I just remember several times throughout my corporate career, I literally went to, hey, I'm not being paid the right thing. Like, I need an adjustment. That has happened multiple times in the course of my career. I don't know where I found the courage, but for some reason, I just felt like it needed to be fair. Like, fairness is super important to me. My best friend always tells me that. She's like, my God, you're quiet until somebody is doing something wrong. Like, that's my thing. I love working with small business owners. I do. I think the challenge working with them, especially hiring managers, sometimes hiring managers think they know more
Of course they do.
than you do. To try to help guide them. Right, to help guide them and help them with the right fit. So a lot of times I have to learn how to pick my battles and focus more my attention on the candidates to make sure that they're getting the right candidates, make sure they're prepared, make sure they have all the tools necessary to be successful. So that's where I feel a shift is happening in my journey.
We were kind of behind the scenes earlier talking about affirmations. What are some affirmations or some things that you tell yourself constantly, consistently, or have to keep yourself moving forward in your journey? Because let me tell you something, this entrepreneur life, it is not for the faint of heart. And there has to be something that's rooting you to the ground, that is your foundation, that you have to keep repeating to yourself, because on those days when you just want to throw the towel in, what is it? What's keeping you going? What is it what's the conversation that you're having with yourself?
I got a few.
Okay.
I got a few. One of them is, it's about you, but it ain't about you. And I mean, this is stuff that I need to take care of for me. But there are going to be things that go on around you that's going to make you think that you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. And some of the things have nothing to do with you and what your purpose is and what it is that you're working toward. So yeah, it's about you for you. You need to make sure that you do what you need to do to handle your business. But you also have to acknowledge that, number one, what is about you is not always what they care about. It's not always like they're not worried about what it is that you got going on, and they're going to do what it is that they need to do on their end. So what they do is not necessarily about you. Don't take it personally, as long as I continue on my journey for what it is that I need to do. And my other thing is, keep in mind who's watching you and who's watching you for various reasons. Like, for example, I have 3 sons. I need them to make sure that they see someone that feels passionate about something and feels comfortable and, pushing forward, and regardless of what's happening, being a problem solver, being a doer, thinking for myself and doing what I feel that is important and ethical and moral for me to move forward with what it is that I'm doing. But not only that, everybody else that's around you that is looking up to you as a mentor or a public figure, somebody of influence, and they're inspired by what it is that you're doing. Because I can't tell you how many times after an event, like if I spoke at an event or I presented something and people will come like, you didn't, like, perfect example. I went to a friend's event, and the purpose of her event was for people who lost their mother. I lost my mom 10 years ago. And I remember that all of the ladies in there, it had been, various times that they didn't have their moms. And she asked about something that your mother put in you that you still have to this day. So I stood up, and I was really nervous. I didn't know none of these people. Like, I was asked at the last minute to come, and I gave this entire speech about how my mom was very powerful, and no matter how she felt, she always had on her red lipstick, and she, like, certain behaviors that she had. And, like, she had the worst day, and she was beat down, and the way that she still presented herself. She still went to sleep with beautiful pajamas. Like, things that she did to inspire herself and what she wanted to do to make her feel good. And I explained how I incorporated that into my life. And 3 ladies came up to me after the fact, and I feel like I'm going to cry. So each one of them were like, you don't know how that made me feel, because my grandmother used to say these to me and I just lost her yesterday. Or my mom used to say blah, 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 and just watching how you were able to embody your mother, like, just made me feel away. And like the things that they were saying, and these ladies, they were in the back. They didn't look like they were paying attention. But of course, they were probably in their feelings in that moment. They had to turn away. They had to try to deal with their feelings at the moment. So you never know who you're inspiring or you make feel like they are wanted or they're part of a bigger thing. They don't feel alienated anymore. So those are 2 of my things.
So true. So for me, I know you and I had a conversation recently, and I told you, I shared that I said sometimes I would struggle with imposter syndrome because in my 9-to-5 space, I'm in this technical world, and there aren't very many people of color, quite frankly, in that space. And I often would question or doubt myself, even though I've worked with this product many, many, many years, even though I've done and proven that I've been successful, so to speak. I still would struggle with that in certain moments. So when I find myself feeling like less than or unable to, I'm just like, you are enough. You got this. Like, you wouldn't be here if you couldn't be here. Like, I literally like just coach myself and tell myself these different things. Like, I am enough. I got this. And it kind of goes away after that. It goes away after that initial thought, especially if it's something new that I haven't quite encountered yet. That makes me super nervous, that I am enough and I define what this looks like for me. No one else would define this for me. So yeah.
It's like the coach coaching the coach. Is that what's happening right there? Okay. All right, ladies. So you have come to the segment of the wild card question.
I don't belong in
And like I
anything
mentioned
wild.
before, you don't pick the question picks you. So you're going to pick a card and you are going to answer that question. All right? All right.
This card picked me. Oh no, I don't like.
Okay.
I don't like. Oh no.
Listen.
Oh great. Can I pick a new card?
Ooh.
Oh boy.
All right.
I don't like this game.
This is about to go down.
I quit.
It's about
I
to
quit.
go down.
I'm silent for the rest of this.
My nerves.
Do her first.
Actually, Parul,
Oh no.
I'm going to put you on the spot. You want to go first?
That. Okay,
Yes,
I'm
ma'am.
ready.
Okay.
Oh no, I don't like that noise.
This is gonna be so great. Okay.
Okay.
Parul Benders,
Yes, ma'am.
you just received an email from Oprah. GOAT!
Okay.
From Oprah's team notifying you that you have been selected to go on an all expense paid private retreat to an island for 6 months to develop a master plan for your life. You must bring 2 people. I better be one of those people. That's all I gotta say. You must bring 2 people who you trust to help you create the plan. Who are they, and what is one unique way that each of them will support you? I'm waiting for my story.
You're waiting for your story or your selection?
Yeah, that too.
Okay, the first person that I will pick is Harli.
What? I had no idea.
She's so surprised. Like, oh my goodness. Okay, one thing that I absolutely love about you is the fact that I can come to you with any thought process or idea. Number one, you're not going to come in judgment and be like, what do you think?
I mean, I am in my head, but I'm not saying it. Okay. No, sorry.
No, you actually would still say it. Yeah. But you would at least be mindful of the way that you said it, okay? You'd be like, yeah, gee, I don't know if that's necessarily. Thankfully, I haven't come up to you with anything like that so far that I know of. I'll receive constructive criticism and things of that nature, but if I'm wanting to have, if I want to use you kind of as my whiteboard and I just want to throw things at you and put it out there, you allow me the opportunity to get out everything out before you start like nitpicking, okay, because sometimes I might have answered the question that you would have been asking anyway. So that's number one. Number two, it's because the way that your brain operates, you're going to be able to come up with some complementary information that backs or supports the things that I'm able to put in there. And you'll also offer different perspectives as to, did you think about this? Did you think about X, Y, and Z and whatnot? And number three, you will allow me to think within my means per se. Like, so let's say, for example, I'm not able to afford to get X, Y, and Z. What other options are we able to do to be able to complete this task? Or what resources do we know that we'll be able to get this from? So I'm able to do that with you. And number two, I want to take Oprah with me because she has me on this opportunity. Like, why would she not help me?
All right, Ebony. You just received news that you have 30 days to live.
Oh my gosh.
How would you spend this time?
How would I spend this time? Well, I'm going to speak from my heart what popped in my spirit. First thing that popped in my head was get my children prepared. Make sure they are prepared for any and everything I could think of that I've experienced in this journey of life, and spend as much time with them as I possibly can. Family is super important to me, like ridiculously important to me. And this question is interesting because last year I had a very scary situation that I thought I was not going to be here, quite frankly. And that changed my entire perspective on life and how I approach life, how I prioritize, how everything shifted in that moment because I used to be such a work all the time. And with that experience, I'm like, you know what? This work will be here. I'm gonna spend time with my kids. I'm gonna spend time with, all these different things that I want to do and prioritize myself. So if I had 30 days to, I would start with my children and pour into them as much as I possibly can so that I feel like they're prepared for when I'm no longer here.
That legacy is so important, right? Because who are we doing all of this for, right? At the end of the day. So that is like one of the most important things why we're going so hard in the paint, why they say, the hustle, but it's because we're doing it for them. So thank you so much for coming on the pod. So I want to say, Parul has kind of become my journey partner on this journey to entrepreneurship and doing the pod and everything. And I feel like I don't celebrate your partnership enough. And on that note, I'm going to do the mom dance. We're going to do the mom dance because we feel like you insiders deserve to know this craziness that happens all the time, okay? You ready for it?
It doesn't happen all the time. She's
It doesn't,
lying. It
but
happens once a quarter, maybe.
Please, like every night. You ready, Ebony? You ready for this?
Ebony's doing a mom twerk.
Y'all ready? Okay. Mom twerk. You ready? Okay. Mom twerk. You good? Listen, if the knees go out, y'all, I'm sorry. You know, I didn't work out this morning, so you ready? Okay, I'm gonna do the beat. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Okay, on that note, thank you. Y'all gotta go watch this video now, okay? A lot of work went into that. So, see, she's still going. She don't know when to stop. Anyway, wind up tour. Anyway, thank you so much for coming on the pod, sharing your stories of entrepreneurship and what you are doing. And I absolutely love dearly the both of you. And I'm ready to continue our journey and to celebrate one another. Like that's a big deal. And so thank you so much for what you both are doing with the community, with women of color. I really, truly appreciate it. And of course, it's been an honor to have the both of you on the pod. Absolutely. I hope you enjoyed our show today. Hit the subscribe button and share this pod episode with your family, friends, and girlfriends. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Inside the Bubble HG. Let's keep the conversation going. Drop us a heart emoji, engage with us. We would love to hear from you. Season 2 is now available on your podcast streaming platforms, and full episode videos are now available on YouTube. For access to our YouTube channel, please find the link below in the show notes. And remember what I always say, there's purpose in your story.